Next on our agenda is Senate Bill number 96 by Senator DiPalma. Senator, would you like to introduce your legislation?
Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. We've heard this legislation at least once before. Very simple. We've all heard of spot zoning. This bill would eliminate spot assessments. What does that mean? When a house is sold, the city or town would not be able to immediately assess the value based on the sale, which might be exorbitant based on what's happening in the area or whatever. It wouldn't preclude anything else happening as it relates to traditional zoning, assessments, either statistical or full revals. One city and town had attempted to do this, ultimately rescinded it. We will hear from testimony from the Rhode Island Realtors Association, I believe, but that's what this bill does. It will eliminate or disallow spot assessments to occur after the sale of a property.
Thank you so much, Senator. Are there questions from the committee for Senator DiPalma? Okay. Hearing none from the committee, we do have a witness signed up, David Salvatore from the Rhode Island Association of Realtors, in support of the legislation. Mr. Salvatore, welcome to Senate Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. David Salvatore, representing the Rhode Island Association of Realtors. I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, for allowing our association to testify on Senate Bill 96. I also want to thank Senator DiPalma for reintroducing this bill on our behalf, and also Senators Boyer, Paolino, Felag, and Burke for co-sponsoring the legislation. You did hear from Senator DiPalma defining what spot assessment is. Before I provide some comments on why we think spot assessment is damaging to the real estate market here in Rhode Island, I do want to bring to your attention how well the real estate market is doing in Rhode Island. And in my written testimony that I submitted, I indicated that, in 2019, almost 19% of the gross state product came from real estate, and that represents, over $12 billion to the local economy here in Rhode Island as a result of a strong real estate market. But as you know, home prices are certainly outpacing the supply in the market, and I think that that's important to note as we consider or are having a discussion around Senate Bill 96 and why this so-called spot assessment tax scheme could be detrimental to the Rhode Island housing market. Spot assessment is a taxing policy that would tax homes after the transfer of title based on the sale amount of the transaction. And in recent years, it has come to our attention that there has been some chatter and or some attempts in municipalities to assess these properties after title transfer based on that home sale price. That's a clear violation of the revaluation guidelines that are set forth in Title 44 of the general laws, which, as all of you know, require municipalities to perform what's called a statistical update on real property every 3 years, and then a full revaluation on real property every 9 years. So we think that spot assessing is certainly an unfair way for cities and towns to generate tax revenue, but more importantly, it could, one, ultimately impact municipal budgets, but two, adversely impact how homes are valued in an inequitable way. So we strongly support S96 for those reasons, but I think this speaks to a larger issue relative to property taxes in Rhode Island. You're probably aware that WalletHub conducted a study that was released just 2 days ago. And that study revealed that Rhode Island still ranks poorly in the nation regarding single-family homes and even multifamily owner-occupied homes based on median value. We rank 42nd in the state, and we think that Senate Bill 96 will hopefully alleviate some of that property tax pressure that might be imposed on new home buyers. But again, it's just having this conversation about these inequitable and unfair ways of taxing property owners or prospective home buyers just sends the wrong message at a time when we're trying to grow our tax base and not tax people out of Rhode Island. So while we are pleased that those municipalities that have entertained spot assessment or implemented this tax policy have withdrawn those attempts. The courts have made it very clear, specifically in Barrington, that they would side with homeowners if they were to appeal their property tax bills as a result of that sticker shock, if you will, when they receive their first tax bill after their home purchase. So again, Mr. Chairman, we fully support Senate Bill 96. We look forward to working with this committee and the full Senate on improving housing in Rhode Island. I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Salvatore. Are there questions or comments from the committee? Senator Acosta.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Salvatore. I'm interested in your line of thinking regarding equity. So who exactly is this inequitable towards? And in a market where homes are selling above the value, where is it that the municipalities or the state itself then is getting the amount that it would need or that it deserves based on that amount? So presumably you buy a house at a value that you are willing to pay taxes on, right? And so what you're saying is the market should be allowed to move on its own without the rate at which you pay moving with it. Can you explain that a bit more?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. And when we talk about equity relative to this spot assessment policy, when that home assessment changes based on the assessor's taxing policy, they're only changing the assessment for that one dwelling in the neighborhood. They're not changing the assessment for any other homes within that community. And the Rhode Island general laws make it very clear that municipalities can reassess properties. They can provide for statistical updates and full revaluations in a certain period of time. But it's against the law, and unfortunately there's some ambiguity in the Rhode Island general laws around this, which some municipalities thought that they could move forward with generating this new revenue by taxing or reassessing the taxes and the value on a single dwelling without impacting or reassessing the entire neighborhood. So I think this is a much larger conversation around how we assess property at the municipal level. But this could, by allowing municipalities to do this, this could have an adverse impact on the real estate market in Rhode Island by unfairly taxing a single homeowner, a new homeowner, without reassessing the properties within that jurisdiction.
That's fair, and I buy that. Can I ask a quick follow-up? Is in your time and experience as a realtor, have there been any municipalities where properties were selling below the average valuation in those municipalities in the last 10 or 20 years?
Well, I'm sure that happens for a lot of different reasons, but just based on the data that we're seeing now, values are increasing based on demand and very low supply. So I think when cities and towns are performing their statistical updates and revaluations, you're probably going to see a shift moving forward and assessments increasing. But again, we find it quite troubling that a single dwelling would be reassessed at the time of title transfer based on the sale price without reassessing the rest of that jurisdiction.
Fair point. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Senator.
Chairman, can I make a point on this?
Senator Seveny.
Thanks. Thank you, Chair. I mean, this works in the opposite direction as well. And Portsmouth was the unfortunate municipality to have to deal with that. Back in 2008, when all the property values dropped precipitously, a group of people who lived in the Carnegie Abbey Towers came forward to the town and said, hey, our property values have dropped by thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars since the last statistical valuation, we want a tax rebate. And the town said, no, everybody gets treated the same. Every 3 years, it's either a full valuation or it's the statistical update that Mr. Solomon was just referring to. You're in between that, so, you know, all the properties in town will be reevaluated at the next date of valuation. They said, no, 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 took the town to court. The town won in the lower court. They sued to the Rhode Island Supreme Court, and the Rhode Island Supreme Court found in favor of those residents as plaintiffs. What they found was the law, Rhode Island law, in money. So what ended up happening was, you know, these folks got a big tax break in the middle of an evaluation period through the vagaries of the economic cycle we were going through at the time. In fact, there's other legislation that's going through the process now to try to fix that particular problem. So,
Thank you.
The point I'm trying to make here is this works both ways to treat people the same way. You pick a time, you pick a periodicity, and you evaluate what somebody's property is worth, and you assess the taxes on that basis. And in our case, in Rhode Island, we do it every 3 years. You know, there's lots of argument over doing it through other periods of time, whatever the case may be. But I think what we need to do is focus on making sure that there's equitable treatment on both ends, for the municipality and for the taxpayers too. So that's it. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
No, Senator, I think those are some good points. And at the end of the day, when cities or towns, as you will know as a former counselor and several others, you know, set levies, you're setting a tax levy. And the tax levy is distributed by tax rate, right? And that's based on the values that you're using at the time. And you need to be consistent across the board. And so I agree completely on both sides of this issue. We need to make sure that the uniformity of the values hold. I do know there are a couple other pieces of legislation on this issue before us that will be coming to the committee. At this time, Senator DiPalma, would you care to make a motion to hold?
Motion to hold.
Seconded by
So moved.
Seconded by Senator Sebeny. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Senator Acosta.
Yes?
Senator Cano.
Yes.
Senator DiPalma.
Yes?
Senator Felag.
Yes.
Senator Murray.
Yes.
Senator Paolino.
Yes.
Chairman Pearson.
Yes.
Senator Sebeny. Senator Sebeny, yes. Senator Sosnowski.
Yes.
9 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We will hold that piece of legislation and return to the issue when we have a few other bills that we are expecting.